Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham, and on today's show, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to cook up some blockbuster NFL draft trade ideas. Bears obviously are interested in trading down from the number one pick. Should draw tons of interest. So I cooked up 5 trade ideas to move down from the number one pick. That is what is on today's show. Those 5 ideas to move down from number one. We'll see what happens. I do think the Bears are going to draw a lot of interest here, and so I decided to cook up some ideas. So let's go ahead and jump on into the show. All right, trade idea number 1 is with the Houston Texans here, as I've got 5 of these like I've said. Here's the trade idea. This one's pretty simple. Bears get the number 2 and number 12 pick. Texans get the number 1 pick and a 5th-round pick, that extra one from the Roquan Smith trade. I've seen some people say, oh, trade number 1 for 2 and 12 straight up. I think you got to at least throw a later pick in there because, yes, Houston, if they want the number 1 pick, pay a premium. And sending 2 and 12, even if they get a 5th back, is a premium based on the draft value chart. But I think throwing a late pick back to Houston doesn't necessarily even it out, but it gives Houston an extra pick at least. You look at the 2023 draft at quarterback. All 3 of these guys are projected to go top 10, maybe even top 5. Bryce Young out of Alabama, C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State, and then Kentucky's Will Levis. Listen, if Houston falls in love with one of these quarterbacks and is scared of a team like the Colts in their own division of leapfrogging them and getting the number 1 pick and taking their guy, well, guess what, Houston? Pay a premium and move up a spot. I don't know what to tell you. This is exactly why getting the number 1 pick was so valuable for Chicago, because lots of teams are going to be interested in it, including the team that might be picking right behind them at number 2. Now, what is the best QB prospect out of these 3? Who is it? Type BY for Bryce Young, CJ for CJ Stroud, or WL for Will Levis. Who do you guys think is the best QB prospect this year? We will be reading your comments, so let us know. BY, CJ, or WL. Today's episode is sponsored by Geologie. Geologie, a 16-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company recognized in Men's Health, GQ, and Esquire. Geologie creates simple and effective skincare and hair care routines customized just for you with ingredients that are proven to work. Right now, for a limited time, they are hooking you up with an absolutely insane offer. So use my code, ChatSports70, at chatsports.com/geology. That is chatsports.com/geology. And or use the QR code that we are cycling on screen, and they will give you an exclusive 70% off their award-winning skincare trial set. Skincare shouldn't feel like a gamble, and Geologie is the best in the skincare game. Geologie puts an end to dark or puffy under eyes, helps you fight acne, reduce oiliness, prevent wrinkles, and give you smoother, hydrated skin. I've been using Geologie's face wash in the mornings, their dark plus puffy under eye cream, and then retinol night cream before going to bed, and my skin is looking and feeling great. And in the shower, Geologie body washes smell great, are free of harsh ingredients, and are refillable. So go to chatsports.com/geology or scan the QR code on screen and use my code ChatSports70. Link is in the description, is chatsports.com/geology. On top of the 70% off deal that we're giving you with that promo code, you'll receive an exclusive bonus offer of one of their top brand new skin, hair, and body products of your choice and add it to your trial. This is one of the best offers you will see. ChatSports70 when you go to chatsports.com/geology. It's first of 2 trades with Indy on today's show. Here it is. Bears receive the number 4 overall pick and number 35 overall, plus a 2024 first, and DeForest Buckner. Colts receive the number 1 overall pick. Now, there's a report out there that the Colts would move Michael Pittman in a trade up for the number 1 pick. Who knows how accurate that report is? If it's just a rumor, who knows? And I like Michael Pittman. I'm not saying I wouldn't take Michael Pittman in a trade up, but DeForest Buckner is a guy at a position that you really need as well at defensive tackle, and he's got experience playing under Matt Eberflus. He's been really productive with Indianapolis. He's still only 28 years old. Flus always talks about 3-tech. Well, DeForest Buckner can come in and fill that void. He played under Eberflus in 2020 and in 2021, was still good this past year in 2022. So I like Pittman, but if a player's involved in a trade with Indianapolis, DeForest Buckner and another player we'll talk about in a second are a couple of guys I would much rather be interested in trading for. So there are the trade details on that one. All right, what do you guys think? What should the Bears do with the number 1 pick? Type T for trade or K for keep. Get your votes in down in the comments section. Now, Bears Now has draft videos every single week, multiple videos per week at this point, so go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We'll have a mock draft later this week as well. Plus, once we reach 60,000 subs, a fan-led mock draft live here on Bears Now by Chat Sports. So go ahead and subscribe today. Let's continue to grow this channel. Another trade with the Indianapolis Colts as we get to trade number 3 here as we go through 5 draft trade ideas. Another player coming to Chicago. Same trade as before, but Quenton Nelson instead of DeForest Buckner. Move down from 1 to 4, pick up 35, a first-round pick next year. You get Quenton Nelson as well. Now, Quenton Nelson is still a very good player. I don't want anyone to think that he's not. But the last 2 seasons, he has not played at an all-pro level. You look at his PFF grades, which is not a perfect system, but he's dropped from elite numbers in 2019 and 2020 to average to above average. I would say above average still overall. He's not been great the past 2 years. Now, what I would also say is the pieces around him on that offensive line, the poor quarterback play, could lead to those numbers a little bit, but he has not played at his peak level the past 2 years. Now, he's only 26, so one would believe that, okay, like, he's still a good player. He's still young enough to get back to that all-pro level, and I would still certainly take him in Chicago. He would arguably, I think he would be the best offensive lineman you had if you did trade for him, but building in the trenches has got to be priority number 1, which is why I mentioned DeForest Buckner and Quenton Nelson. Now, pick a player you would most like to trade for if you traded with the Colts. Type QN for Quenton Nelson, DB for DeForest Buckner, or type wide receiver for Michael Pittman. That is WR. Let me know who you would most like to trade for. Trade idea number 4, it is the Carolina Panthers. With this one, Carolina, of course, has the number 9 pick in this draft. So here we go. Trade down from 1 to 9. Get 56 as well, a first and a second next year, and you get Brian Burns. That is the trade idea here. Maybe you get an extra pick because you're moving from 1 to 9. Maybe you get like a third this year or something like that. But if Carolina is desperate for a quarterback, to move up from 9 to 1 is going to cost them a lot, and you may have to give up a guy like Brian Burns if you are the Panthers, and this is a premier pass rusher. I mean, since he's entered the league, he's just gotten better and better and better, and the numbers have suggested that. This year had his best year yet with 12.5 sacks and 17 tackles for loss. Brian Burns is a franchise-changing defensive end because I am a firm believer of these 3 things. To build a roster, it starts with this. Number 1, quarterback. Number 2, protect the quarterback. Number 3, get after the opposing quarterback. And Brian Burns is going to help you with that number 3, as is a guy like DeForest Buckner and a couple of other guys that are out there as well. This has got to improve. This front 4, not good enough. Ideally, none of these 4 guys are starting next year. Maybe Justin Jones is one of the defensive tackles, but the other 3 spots, unless Robinson or Gibson greatly improves, you've got to rebuild the front 4, period. It has got to get better, and it has to get better quickly. And I think a guy like Brian Burns would certainly help you rebuild that front. And then trade number 5, it is with the Las Vegas Raiders. They have the number 7 pick. They're linked to Tom Brady, but just hang with me for a second here. Here's my trade idea. Number 7 to Chicago, number 38 to Chicago, Davante Adams for number 1. That's a lot for Vegas to give up. Number 7, 38, and Adams for the number 1 pick. Now, I'll be honest, I was actually a little more hesitant on this one from the Bears side, not because Adams isn't special, but he has a massive contract. I do mean massive. And he's 30 years old. I mean, he's not 30 or 26, 27, so, that's a bit of a risk if he starts to decline. Now, he doesn't look like a guy who's starting to decline. I mean, he had one of his best years ever with a much worse quarterback in Derek Carr compared to Aaron Rodgers. Still had 100 catches, 1,500 yards, and 14 touchdowns. I mean, he is arguably the best receiver in football. Maybe not Justin Jefferson, but he's right there, if not there. This is an interesting one. I don't know what Vegas' plans are. I think they're going to be interested in Tom Brady, but what if Tom Brady retires? They may have to go draft for quarterback, and if they want their guy, they may have to move up all the way to number 1 to go and get him, because the top 3 quarterbacks, they could be off the board by the time Vegas picks at number 7. So we're going to recycle through these trades, and then I will ask you which trade is your favorite, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You look at number 1, 2 and 12 to Chicago from Houston for the number 1 pick and a 5th. Trade idea number 2, first Colts trade, you get the 4th pick, a 2nd-round pick, a 2024 first, and DeForest Buckner, while the Colts get the number 1 pick. Trade number 3, Colts get the first pick again, same trade as before, except for it's Quenton Nelson. How about trade number 4, Brian Burns, number 9, a 2nd, and a future 1st and 2nd for number 1. And then trade idea number 5, Davante Adams, the number 7 pick, and number 38 pick for the number 1 pick. So which trade is your favorite? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Let us know down in the comments section below. That's going to do it for today's draft trade ideas video. We'll probably do more of these trade ideas as we progress throughout the offseason. There's going to be a lot of buzz on how much that number 1 pick could be worth. So curious what you guys think. Let us know which trade idea was your favorite.